Hello, everybody. Welcome to She. We're super excited to have you on. I see a few cameras on, so feel free to turn on your camera. We would love to see you, even if you're cooking, making dinner or whatever part of the world you are. We would love to see your face. Uh, I'm gonna go live on Facebook, so just so you know, and I'll share my screen. I would love well, welcome to She. That's officially right. She builds, she owns, she invests, and she is me. She's you. She's all of us in this group. Super excited to have you join me on this mission to help 1 million women create wealth through real estate. Well, we foster every single aspect, personally, professionally, and spiritually. So, super excited to have you on. We're live on Facebook. Turn on your cameras. We'll love to see you. It's good to put a face to the names. A little disclaimer: we are a real estate investment firm. We offer an investment opportunities, but every investment has a risk. We all the speakers that we bring, they offer different products or services. We do not endorse any of them. We invite them because they are amazing and we want to learn more from them. A little bit about Massive Capital. Well, she was brought to you by Massive Capital. I'm proud to mention that I'm the only women equity owner at Massive Capital. So we're a vertically integrated real estate investment firm. We have land development, we do retail centers, we have a triple net brokerage, we have a property management company, the construction company, and Massive Masters. For people who want to learn about buying their own commercial deals, definitely let me know. We pretty much the principals take you under the wing and help you buy commercial real estate assets. So we have a sister company, Realty One. They do all the land development. We mainly focus on acquiring multifamily properties. We have a portfolio of 1,400 units across Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, and Denver. So if you want to learn more about real estate, put a two in the chat, either investing or in an active side of buying your own properties. Put a two in the chat, please. Also, if this is your first time joining us, put a one on the chat. We would love to get to know you more. We have a sponsor, Skyline Title. We are proud to partner up with Skyline Title. It's a title company that guarantees secure and smooth and trustworthy transactions for all of us transaction in real estate. We know how important it is to have the right title company, right? Especially somebody who understands the investor side. So if you are looking to close a property, definitely give them a shot, connect with them. They have locations in different areas, so connect with them. For people who are based out of Fort Worth area, we have a property there, and we're gonna do a property tour that is gonna be led by our amazing Trevor Thompson. So this will be on the 19th from 3 to 4 p.m. So if you're in the area, let me know so I can send you the link so you can RSVP. It's different when we see the assets, we walk the properties and we say, this is what we own, this is what we have done. And most importantly, these are all the challenges that we have done with these properties, right? Because it's not easy, but yeah, if you're in the area, let us know. She goes to everywhere that we want. We just had an event in Dubai last Saturday, so stay tuned for upcoming events. Let us know where are you based out of so we can invite you to upcoming events. And just a little bit about real estate. Why I personally invest in real estate, why she invest in real estate, right? So number one is cash flow. We all need different sources of income, right? It is very risky on today's world to just depend on one source of income. So real estate offers different cash flow venues through the rental properties that we have. So it's good to focus on whatever we want to focus, right? Either travel the world, or just grow a business, grow a family, whatever we want to do, but make sure we have cash flow coming in. So that's probably one of the most important parts, right? The second part is long-term appreciation. On average, women keeps 81% of their wealth in cash. And that was me. I was saving money, wanted to start a business. I didn't know what kind of business to start. So I was just saving money. And I realized that I was making 0.01% in the bank. So I decided to put my money in a better place. That's how I bought my first piece of land. So here I am 100 transactions after. I say it's no regrets, right? Land definitely has helped me a lot, and is what keeps my capital growing. So leverage is that 43% of women take career breaks, either because we decide, raising kids or taking care of elderly parents, or just, take a year off or whatever, right? Sometimes it's voluntary, sometimes it's not. But the most important thing is what we do is leverage, right? You can leverage massive capital, leverage all of us, making sure your money is working for you, even if you are focused on other parts of your life that are also important. Diversification. We talk about how important is to diversify portfolios, and in real estate is not an exception. We have to stay diversified to mitigate the risk. So at Massive Capital, we do a lot of land development. But that's one of the beauties about real estate, that there's so many asset classes that offer different benefits. So just exploring and mitigating the risk will give us a lot of safety in the future. And last but not least, the tax benefits. At the end of the year, we gotta pay capital gains, and investing in multifamily is that's one of the benefits about investing in multifamily, that at the end of the year we give you a K1, and that will help you offset your income, right? Of course, I'm not a CPA, and every person is in different situations, but if you have questions, if you're not sure if you can take advantage of all the tax benefits, just connect with me. If I don't know the answers, as I said, I'm not a CPA, but I have a lot of good CPA friends that we have had here and on the Tuesday webinars as well. All right. Well, let's get into our amazing speaker that we have today. I met Tiffany on the 10X Ladies, and ever since I met her, I was like, oh, do you want to be my first friend? We just reconnected. We stay connected on social media. That's why I keep telling you, like, if you want to stay connected with somebody, just add them to social media, because that's kind of like the best way to keep people in the loop. So that's what happened with Tiffany and I. We met a few years ago, and today she's here. She's doing amazing things. We're gonna learn so much from her. And let me tell you a little bit about Tiffany before I bring her on. But Coach Tiffany Taylor is a business productivity coach who integrates faith, mindset, digital systems, and biohacking for sustainable peak performance. And I think all of us, that's what we're looking, right? So I'm super excited to have you on, Tiffany. Welcome to the party.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's lovely to meet you, ladies.
Thank you, Tiffany. And you are in Thailand, so I'm sorry that this is 6 in the morning for you. but
Oh, very
I appreciate you that you're here. So before we get into all the peak performance, that I'm super excited, and how do you holistic integrate all this? Tell us a little bit about yourself. You have an amazing story, so tell us a bit about a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I'm originally born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, so not too far from where all of you are. And I was raised with divorced parents, and money was always a problem growing up. As I'm sure a lot of us can relate. I think this is one of the main drivers that brings women into investing, right? So that was always a question. From a very young age, freedom was a main driver for me. From a very young age, I remember saying, I'm never going to worry about money again. I'm going to be wealthy one day. I'm going to take care of my family one day. Like under the age of 10, I was saying those things. And I knew one day I would need a vehicle. Didn't know what that would look like just yet. So I was exploring, and I got, sucked into what they tell you in the US. You go to high school, you get perfect grades, you go to college. I was the overachiever type, so I graduated high school when I was 15, went to college when I was 16, moved to Milan, Italy when I was 19, and then things kind of took a turn. You can sometimes do all the right things, and your whole plan collapses. And that's what happened to me in 2015. I did all the right things. I moved my life entirely over to Milan, Italy, and there were visa processing issues that couldn't have been avoided. And so after moving there, I found out I had to leave. And at that point, I didn't know where to go. What am I going to do? Now, the logical response would have been to just come back to the US, go to college there and get a job there. Instead, I chose the illogical answer, and I said, I'm going to travel the world. And I went through 20 countries before turning 20. This was life changing for me because I got to experience all new cultures. I got to explore what happiness means to different people around the world. And I got really, really grounded. I finally understood what freedom felt like, not just watching other people in movies, but personally felt like. So this ended up becoming a main driver for me as well. That's when I decided, okay, freedom is not just going on vacation. Freedom to me is having the time freedom to be able to travel. It's having the travel freedom to where you're not stuck in one location. It's having time zone freedom. Like I don't have to be awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? I'm able to choose my own schedule. It's having that flexibility, that autonomy. So I said, okay, how am I going to build something around that? I always felt a calling towards leadership through my corporate jobs. I always ended up in leadership. I love coaching people. And so through hiring my own coach, I discovered the value of it. My first coach was able to do what 12 years of therapy couldn't do for me. And that was breaking through this lack of confidence, breaking through perfectionism and procrastination, these ideas that I wasn't going to be able to be successful, this fear of showing up online, this fear of public speaking. I had a crippling fear of public speaking. And so when I explored it and experienced coaching, I realized the value I could bring to people. And so I ended up building a business around that. Now I'm able to travel the world. I'm living in Thailand right now. I don't have a return ticket. I will stay here till I leave. And so it's my passion to help others optimize their bodies, their minds, and their schedules as well so they can experience freedom.
Awesome. I absolutely love everything that you said, because that's very aligned with she and just with me personally, right? All of us are definitely looking for freedom, but just a real freedom where we can be present. That's the way that I describe it. Like if you're on vacation, you're present on vacation and not worry about how much do we have to pay and when do we have to return, and I have emails and somebody's looking for me. No, just like being present on that situation. So a lot of what you talk about is that, right? Just enjoy what you're doing right now, and when it's time to work and perform, we also are gonna get into that in a little bit. But thank you. No, I absolutely love that. So let's get a little bit into that. You help people manage their time, attention, and energy holistically, right? So what does actually look like for the busy woman or the mom, working mom? Does that look like?
So whenever I'm working with a client, we want to run the diagnostics for productivity. And in the last 5 years, especially working with high achieving women, what I found is that your productivity bottleneck is going to be either in your systems, so you're like what you're using to actually organize yourself digitally, or it's going to be in your biology. Women have a tendency to overwork themselves, so they're trying to cut down on the sleep and multitask. You know, you're eating lunch while working on the computer, or not eating lunch at all, right? Skipping meals, trying to work against the biology, or it's the mindset. It's the mindset. It's things like procrastination, imposter syndrome, perfectionism. This is usually what high achieving women struggle with. So whenever I'm working with someone first who wants to increase their productivity, I'm taking a look which one of these three areas is going to have the most leverage to increase productivity first. So I'll support in all three of those areas. When it comes to mindset, where I'm using what's called neurolinguistic programming. We're watching your language patterns to see how you're programming your own mind every day, and we're breaking those patterns. When it comes to your biology, we're regulating your nervous system, because what I find, another pattern I find a lot is we actually do have enough time in the week to get everything done, but maybe not enough energy to use the time the way we want to use it. So these are the ways that I address productivity.
Absolutely. I mean, that's all, we can get into a lot just on that. So, on the mindset, I think the hardest part is understanding that we all have a ceiling, right? Like all of us here, we attend a lot of masterminds. We have very successful people around us that inspire us to do more, but I think we all have that ceiling that we don't realize that we already get comfortable with something, or just literally understanding that it's a new, like, we already achieved certain level and there is a whole new level coming up, and we have, so just like Elizabeth said, some imposter syndrome or some mindset. How would you address that?
Yeah. So first, Elizabeth asked, what is imposter syndrome? You'll know you have imposter syndrome when you go to show up and do something and you feel like I'm a fraud. Like if you've never done investing before, for example, who am I to invest? Why would anyone trust me to give me the funds to invest? Why would anyone want to listen to me on social media? When you hear those kinds of questions, that's typically imposter syndrome. I just want to explain this as well. Some people say they have imposter syndrome and they actually have imposter thoughts. So the difference between those two things, imposter syndrome is full time, 100% of the time you feel like you're a fraud. Imposter thoughts is usually when it pertains to one or two ideas that you have. So those are two different things. But generally speaking, if you feel like, who am I to do this? I'm not good enough to show up and do this new thing. That would be imposter syndrome. And that's kind of the ceiling that Jazmin's talking about here. So the way you know your mind is programmed, anything you consider normal is your programming right now. So I want you to just reflect. What about your life do you think is normal? Everyone's like this. Because it's not normal, it's actually subjective only to you. So that's an insight to see how your mind is programmed. If it's normal for you to be worried about, like Jazmin was saying, the price of everything, if you go on vacation and you're pricing everything out, that's your programming that is normal for that to happen. And anything that's programmed can be shifted. So we have a saying in coaching as well, new level, new devil. In the beginning, you're gonna in the beginning when I started my business, I'm working with a coach on I'm terrified of public speaking and I'm petrified of going on Instagram Live. I remember the first day my coach told me to go on Instagram Live, I wanted to cry. I said, no, I can't do that. Right? Because that was normal for me. I didn't know anyone who even does that anyways. Celebrities do this, influencers do this. I don't do this, right? I had to work through all of that. And then eventually you work through different challenges. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of work. I started therapy and just understanding like how every emotion or how those thoughts that we have are necessarily connected to probably years back, our childhood,
Everything.
trauma that we didn't realize that we had, or that we thought that we overcame, or it's just how everything is connected, and the science, that's another thing that I love about you, that everything is connected with science, and that's how we really can get into the weeds of working on ourselves, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And you also talk about achieving both, like, freedom. We talk a lot about that, and financial freedom. So, what are the first practical steps that somebody can take to start creating both freedoms?
Yeah, so I think in the beginning, maybe it takes money to invest. You can use other people's money as well, but it's finding that vehicle. So the first step to finding freedom is having that vehicle, but then you need the mindset to go to it. So like one cycle I see people getting stuck in, you get stuck in learning, you're learning about all these different ways to make money, not making money doing any of those things, and definitely not building wealth. I think I saw one of your stats about women having a finance, like 70% of women won't work with a financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the biggest hacks to success is having wise counsel in every area of life, right? And I think the difference that also people should know the difference between a mentor and a coach, right? Therapy works with mental illness and disorder primarily. It helps with emotional processing, it'll help with relationship issues, but that's predominantly what it's for. A mentor is someone who is where you want to be, and they're going to help you take the exact path they took to get there. There's no formal training involved to be a mentor. It's usually a personal relationship, although now people have commercialized that you can buy mentorship. But this isn't someone who's trained in that. A coach is someone who's specialized and trained and taking you from where you are to where you want to be using tools and techniques. Not necessarily the person that is where you want to be, but someone that has the tools and techniques to get there. And the way I explain that is, for example, if you're an athlete, who do you want to be your coach? Do you want the top athlete to be your coach? Or do you want their coach to be your coach? You probably want their coach, right? Because their coach is one person who helped push them to get that way. And also, if you a mentor didn't have a similar starting point to you, it's going to be hard for them to work backwards and understand how to support you because they did everything subconsciously, right? They subconsciously got there, so they don't exactly know how to retrace their steps. So it's important that you have all three, in my opinion, but also in every area of life. It's just setting up a support system and then also being a good steward of your resources. Right? Part of freedom is having the discipline, right? That means being disciplined with your finances, being disciplined with your health, being disciplined with your schedule as well. And coincidentally, all of those things together improve productivity. That's what the whole basis and foundation of productivity is.
Absolutely. And that's, we need to work on the foundation all the time. What is sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, like we're so caught up on chasing the next big project or the next shiny object, but it's important to just circle back and check on all the foundations, right? Like, how am I doing on all the areas, on all the systems? And you talk about that, having systems in place. Can you share a little bit about some systems that you advise your clients to have?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love what you said. You always have to go back and check the systems. So, like in my women's coaching group, for example, this is exactly what we cover. Every month it's a different topic, but we're evaluating all the systems and improving. We're constantly asking questions like, okay, how are we rating every area of our life right now? How did the last week go? Okay, let's look at this quarter's performance. How am I performing in every area? What do I need to tweak? What do I need to improve on? We're doing an audit. In what ways are mindset or biology getting in the way, and how do we overcome those things? So that's incredibly important. When it comes to systems, one of the things I see a lot with women is let me ask first, everyone in the group, if you don't mind putting in the chat, how are you organizing your tasks or your time right now? Are you using a to-do list? Are you using a paper planner? Are you using a calendar? Is it kind of all in your head? I want to know in the chat real quick so I can kind of make it towards you girls. Yeah, calendar. Cool. What else? Sticky notes, to-do lists. Yeah, combination. Perfect. So one thing I always recommend to clients is I call it in one of my workshops, my women's program, we talk about divorcing the to-do list, for example. So, but to-do lists are usually correlated strongly with anxiety and overwhelm. And so I want you to think about where the idea of a to-do list came from. We got the idea of a to-do list as kids because we had our homework assignments in school. And so in school, you write the list of your homework and you check it off as you do it. And then eventually maybe your parents would give you a list of chores to do and you check that off. But then we become adults and now we have life lists. That's not a list of homework assignments or chores anymore. Now it's chores and work and mother responsibilities and friend duties and auntie duties. Now we have everything in one list. And it's the challenge with a to-do list, it's limited. It's limited in capacity. A to-do list cannot or is not prioritized based on urgency. It's not organized based on how long it's going to take you to do each task. It doesn't have time limits on these things. And it has the ability to make everything seem both urgent and important at the same time. I've also been I'm a very inquisitive person. So I've interviewed over 200 entrepreneurs on this question as well. Sometimes on the to-do list, the oldest thing on the to-do list is a year or two old. That's crazy to me. Yes, believe it or not. A lot of the things on the to-do list actually never get done. And now let's look at how that looks. That's just the system front. Now let's look at the mindset front. What happens when you tell your mind, create a list? When you prompt your subconscious to create a list, you have to think about all the things you have to do. That faithful servant of yours is going to spend all day and night adding to that list. So when you think about your to-do list, what happens? You're in the middle of a conversation. Wait, I need to add this to my list. You're at dinner. Oh, I need to add this to my list. You go to fall asleep. Wait, I need to add this to my list. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I have to do that other thing too. You're constantly seeking things to do, adding to that list, which creates that anxiety and overwhelm. So I recommend divorcing the to-do list altogether and integrating a digital calendar system. I only recommend Google Calendar. I don't recommend any other calendar systems. Very specific reasons I'm not going to get into now, but just in terms of simplicity and integration, Google Calendar is great. And I recommend color coding that based on your energy levels. Which of these tasks is giving me energy and which of these tasks is using my energy and at what level? Because another challenge I see, especially with high achieving women, you start the day with the maximum amount of energy and then slowly it tapers off till you have nothing at the end of the day. And that is not healthy. That is not, should not be normalized. We should not just be draining our energy throughout the day. The energy should have ebbs and flows. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. And you can schedule yourself that way by integrating some biohacking stuff too to help you have the energy you need to complete the day.
That sounds amazing because I mean, I got myself a lot, at the end of the day, just like, okay, I don't want to think about it anymore. I'm done. It's been a long day. And, we go back to the same part. Like, at the end of the day, it's not like if I'm out of business hours, that doesn't mean my day is over, right? So I still got to show up 100% with the rest of the afternoon. So that's very important, right? I never thought about just having activities that take a lot of energy and offset them with activities that are easy. The only thing that I do is just knocking out the hardest parts of my to-do list first, or the hardest meetings. That way, kind of like the rest of the day is like, okay, have done the heavy lifting. What do you think about that?
So I recommend, this is where the biology part comes in. So everyone has what's called a BPT, a biological prime time. This is the time of the day when you have the peak amount of energy and focus. So when it comes to those heavy lifting tasks where maybe it takes the most amount of concentration or focus, you want to align those time blocks with your biological prime time, because it'll probably take you half the amount of time to do it if you're focused on that time of day. So I recommend working with your natural rhythm. For some people, that might be 8 o'clock in the morning. I've met people somehow where it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I've met people where it's 11 o'clock at night. So it's different for everyone. But so maybe this week your assignment can be go ahead and check out, when do I have the easiest time getting into flow state? When do I have the easiest time of focus? And then counting that as like your sacred hour for focus, not scheduling any meetings in that time. Because when you think about it, if it's only one time period a day, then you have about 5 blocks a week where you have prime energy to knock out anything that's really meticulous or takes a lot of energy for you. So if you guard just those hours, you can save probably 30% of your time just doing that.
That's really, really good. And then one of my favorite parts about your work is that you integrate faith and mindset. So, how do faith and mindset influence productivity and in your coaching approach?
Yeah. So it's interesting because studying the mind is actually part of what brought me to my faith and understanding how that works. So what I've learned is that pretty much anything I've learned in mindset is rooted in scripture, but scripture would have different words for it. So this was a fascinating journey for me because I realized, wait. This wasn't invented. Like mindset wasn't invented. This is age old. And so anything that had a mindset root even has a spiritual root behind it. And so I've actually learned also over time, they've done studies on prayer. You mentioned science before. If there's one thing you should know about me, I'm the biggest nerd in the world. Super nerd, right? When I learn about something, I go all the way in. I know a lot about a lot because I just study everything all the time. But one thing I really enjoyed learning about in the last few years is the studies done on prayer. Growing up, I thought prayer is something you do that makes you feel good. This is what I just gathered together. I thought prayer and meditation are kind of the same thing, but there are studies that have been done on prayer, double blind studies and triple blind studies on the efficacy of prayer, not just in healing, but in breakthroughs. So understanding how that works and also how prayer rewires the mind is fascinating. Something I'm really passionate about is helping women learn to pray, learn to have a closer relationship with God. And really what it comes down to as well is identity. When you come to planet Earth, you are programmed on who you are. You're told who you are based on your parents, based on your socioeconomic status, based on how you show up in school over time, based on who you are relationally. You become an adult, you're told your identity based on how you show up online, or you don't, based on whether you're investing or your career. When it comes to spirituality, you're not any of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not your career. Why? Because if you didn't have your career, you would still be you. Therefore, you can't possibly be that, right? When you think about anything that's happened to you, sometimes we can root our identity in our possessions, or our identity can get rooted in our career or our trauma in the past. You're not any of those things. So understanding your true identity as a daughter of the king, that is how you will begin to understand, wait, if I'm not the things that happen to me and I'm not the labels, then who am I? I'm infinite potential. I'm love at the center. Okay, that will help you also realize, oh, this is how I can steward my time and attention and energy better. For me, with the catalyst for this, I'm sure Jazmin saw it recently, I posted about a motorcycle accident. Um, I've been going back and forth between the US and Thailand for 9 years now, which is crazy to think it's been that long. But just 5 years ago, I was in a really bad motorcycle accident. I was driving a motorcycle, if you know motorcycles, it was a Ninja, and I'm staying at a red light, and a crazy lunatic flies around a corner and hits me head on. She's on the wrong side of the road. She was on her phone, wasn't paying attention. I have the video on my Instagram, which I'll share with you. You'll see it. It's like a split second, pow, crashes into me. So I had a near death experience. And this is really interesting because whenever I watch the video, it's literally 3 seconds long, if that. A split second, my life could have ended. But the actual experience for me, it felt like a whole hour. It felt like an hour suspended in time. And I had a whole review of my whole life flashed before my eyes. I was having a conversation with God, how did I do? What mistakes did I make? Do I have any regrets? Did I learn? Did I do everything I was meant to do? And am I proud? Am I proud of the way that I lived my life? And what was cool is I didn't have any regrets. And I was like, I had so many amazing experiences. I'm great. But the one thing I didn't do was fulfill my potential and my purpose. And I knew my purpose was to help other people. I knew my purpose was to share my story and to be the coach that I was called to be. And I hadn't taken any steps towards that yet. So that was the catalyst to me actually going and getting my coaching certifications, doing the programs and the training, launching the business. And that's where my spiritual journey began as well, because I realized, wait a minute, this isn't about becoming famous or making a ton of money or even just having a family, but this is really about self-actualization. It's really about getting to know God, getting to know ourselves, and helping other people in that same journey.
I love that. I love it. My leg, and he talks about God created us with a purpose and He designed a plan with us, right? So when we die, we're gonna meet the person that God created. Like, I'm gonna meet Jazmin that God created for me, right? That was His plan. So, what if that person says, I don't know you? Like, we're not the same. I, I don't know you. Like, I left, like, I stayed so far behind, right? Like, I didn't meet that person. Or that person says, hey, Jasmine, I love you. Welcome. We are one, right? Like, this is the person that God created for me. And I met that person, and that person can recognize me. So it's just, I mean, he explains it better. If you haven't listened to his podcast, go ahead and listen to his episodes. He mentioned in a lot of episodes, but that's kind of what you're saying. Like, make sure we fulfill that plan that God has for us, right? And what are some, I mean, what are some things that hold us back from fulfilling that plan?
Lies. Lies are the big
Lies.
lies and deception are the biggest thing that holds us back. And so what's really interesting is if you look at mindset vocabulary versus scripture vocabulary. This is fascinating for me. So personal development, self-help, we'll call something a limiting belief. Scripture, we'll call it a lie from the enemy. Why? Because it's spiritual root. Your thoughts in your mind, you don't just hear your own thoughts. You hear your thoughts, you hear God's thoughts, and you hear the enemy's thoughts. So you're hearing three different things because your mind is actually the battlefield for spiritual warfare in action. Psychological warfare is happening in the mind. And now we have choice, we have autonomy over whose voice we're listening to. But if we're not familiar with scripture, if we don't have that close, intimate relationship with God, we can't discern the difference between what thoughts we're hearing. And we may make the mistake of believing the enemy's thoughts, saying that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't have enough experience, you're never going to be anything. Anything, you're not blank enough. That's not a thought from God.
Absolutely. I love that. I mean, God has just, there's a lot of areas in the Bible that he says, like, he created us just to be happy, to fulfill our purpose, to just, be more like him. And he is the source of joy and love. So, yeah, I absolutely love that. And how does that, like, once we achieve certain level of spirituality, how does that impacts our productivity?
Mm. First of all, it gives you clarity. And just to break it down for anyone who doesn't know scripture that well, too, I'm going to make it really, really simple for you. Everyone goes looking for their purpose, right? And the thing is, we all have the same purpose. That word calling, we say, well, I need to figure out what my calling is. That word in Greek actually means invitation. And so our calling is actually an invitation to know God. And what we're called to do is to know God and to make him known and to love others the way Jesus loves us, right? That's our whole purpose, our whole calling. And that should be the same with your business. We get to bring our ministry into the marketplace. That's when business becomes more than just making money, right? Now it's who are the people I'm taking care of? How can I pray for the people around me? This is something I teach as well when it comes to spirituality. How do I integrate business and faith? Wait a minute. If there's a God and there's a plan and I have this business, this isn't my business. This is God's business. What is his plan for the business, right? He becomes the CEO. He becomes the founder. That's what it looks like when you're integrating spirituality into those things. That's when you learn that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is read scripture because you have revelation after revelation after revelation. God speaks to you and he teaches you these things. I was late to the party in my faith game. And it's funny, but I remember when it came to business, that was the hardest area of my life to surrender. Surrender everything else. Okay, I surrender. I surrender my business. No, don't touch that. That's mine. I built it, right? And this is the immature way of thinking. This is very immature. This is a baby in faith, right? And I had the revelation. I'm reading scripture. God speaks to me and says, you know, I'm really good at business, right? Do you know who I am? You can trust me. So it's that getting that close to relationship to God, he blesses it. When your business becomes a ministry and you're becoming him live in person for people, he blesses that. So getting that close relation is one of the most productive things you can do.
Absolutely. And even when we are going through the breakthroughs of a business, right? Like, or just staying consistent in business, all right? It is hard because there's some days that we have all the energy, we are at our peak, but there's some days that life happens and we can barely do anything, right? But when we understand that there is a bigger purpose that is not the business of creating real estate, buying real estate assets, but just it's a tool that is gonna God is gonna use to bless a lot of people, and that he's gonna use different ways, and he's gonna use me or my company, or just to make somebody's life better, somebody's day better, right? Is you show up differently and you keep showing up, which is the hard part, right? We all can show up once or 1 month, but showing up 10 years, 20 years, that's the hard part. So it's all about consistency. Mhm.
Absolutely. Consistency is everything.
Awesome. Well, we are almost on time. I definitely want to hear your questions. If you guys have questions, please put them on the chat or raise your hand. I have one more question and then we're going to go to you. So get ready. Okay, so many people struggle with a burnout despite having systems in place. What role does biohacking play in protecting this energy and sustaining the performance?
Yeah. So I want you to think about life as a game. If you want to win a game, you got to know the rules, right? And you have to know how things work. At least I'm strategic in the way that I think I'm very intentional. Your body does have limitations. Your mind, unlimited eventually, right? But your body does have some limitations. And burnout usually comes from a dysregulated nervous system. So the key to prevent burnout is to keep a regulated nervous system. How do we do that? We do that by having a really consistent bedtime and wake up time. You should be waking up naturally without an alarm clock. So it's okay to have an alarm clock set, but ideally you should be waking up before that alarm even goes off. Why? Because, we can say the general guideline is you need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, but at the end of the day, every body is different and your body knows how much sleep it needs because it wakes itself up when it's ready. So having the consistent bedtime and wake up time is super, super, super important. That is the foundation and the bedrock of your schedule. It's the first thing that goes on the schedule. Things like not having coffee within the first 2 hours of waking up. I know that sounds scary. Why? Why is that important? Because hormonally, what wakes you up in the morning is cortisol. Cortisol gets a bad reputation because it's the stress hormone. It's not a bad thing to have. You need it to wake up. Okay, so it's normal to have cortisol that wakes you up, but that spike lasts about an hour. So if you're taking caffeine on top of a cortisol spike, you're doubling it, and you're putting yourself into fight or flight mode. That's really hard to sit down and focus and be relaxed if you're in fight or flight mode because you probably have work stress also. So just keeping things stress free. So that's like just one example, like timing your caffeine the right way, not having caffeine past probably noon so you can fall asleep, right? It should be like, I want you to count this as normal. Normal is falling asleep easy, staying asleep the whole night, and waking up without an alarm clock. That's normal. Anything else, not normal, not natural. If you're struggling to fall asleep at night, that we need to look at that. Do we need to get off screen time earlier? No scrolling at night, no doom scrolling. Does it mean we need to adjust the lighting in the house? After sunset hours, you should not have overhead lighting. You also should not have any white light bulbs on after sunset hours, only yellow lighting. Why? Because the light receptors in your eyes are actually telling your brain what hormones to secrete and if they should make you tired or not. So there's all sorts of little tricks and hacks you can do to optimize your sleep and your energy levels so that you're maximizing the amount of energy you have.
I love that. I love those little things that we can tweak, and that's what adds on. So I love that. Elizabeth, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? Oh no, there's no question. Okay, I thought you had a question. Sorry, that
No,
was
no, I don't have a question, but she's actually answering a lot of questions that I didn't know I had, like the lighting, the caffeine, and then divorcing the to-do list. So like you've answered a lot of things for me. So thank you.
My pleasure. I'll give you one more tip. If falling asleep is a challenge for you, especially, majority of Americans are deficient in magnesium. This is super important. This is what relaxes you. And there's different types of magnesium, but my favorite one, especially if you find that your mind's racing a lot, is magnesium threonate. And let me grab it for you, actually. Show you. You can take a picture of this. Right here. There it is. Take a picture.
Mhm.
This helps me sleep as if I've taken a pharmaceutical sleeping pill. It's perfect. It's the only form of magnesium that'll pass the blood-brain barrier. See, like something like that's great too, because people will say take magnesium, but there's different types. This one will relax the mind.
Absolutely. Awesome. Any other questions that you guys have for Tiffany? We have a few minutes, and I put her Instagram on the chat because she'll definitely connect with her. She has all her links there, and she has a link to book a session with her. I'll put it on the chat. But any questions? We'd love to hear. Let me pull up the chat. Any last words of advice, Tiffany? Anything that we forgot to cover and you think is important?
Did you get it, Tanya? Hopefully Tanya got it. I think we covered a lot. And questions help. If you're like, I don't know if I should ask this question, you're probably not the only one. So feel free to ask it. One other tip I'll give you, like track your biometrics. Just like with finance, no one's really taught about finance yet. It's important you have to go and learn about these things. You're not taught about your body. And no one is going to look out for your health the way that you are. No doctor will support your health as much as you are. You need to really take authority over that. So one of the ways you can do that is by getting something like an Aura ring. It looks like a regular ring that I wear. This little ring is actually technology that is tracking my heart rate. It's tracking my heart rate variability. It's tracking my sleep, the sleep stages, my energy levels. It's tracking everything. It's tracking my biological age. And so when I look at this, I can see how my body is responding to my environment and my schedule, and I can make adjustments based on that.
I love that. It's all about getting to know you very good and make adjustments.
Treat your body like a business as well. Everything you learn in business, you can translate to your body. What gets measured gets managed, right? You can't run a business without
Absolutely.
knowing your numbers. Same thing with your health. You should know your numbers and you should have goals to do that. And so as an example, I'm here in Thailand right now. I'm doing martial arts training. I've been doing martial art called Muay Thai for 9 years now. And someone asked me, what are your goals with that sport? Because I've been doing it so long, and I'm not saying this to be cocky, the only thing I can do to advance, or the only goal I could have with that sport, is to sign up for a fight. Personally, I'm done with fighting. I don't want to do that anymore. Not a goal of mine. But what is my goal? My goals are to increase my heart rate variability. I do comprehensive blood work, not through a doctor, because if you go to a doctor, they won't order the blood work unless you have symptoms or a problem. I go and do my own blood work. I want to improve my numbers there. I want to improve my heart rate variability. I want my resting heart rate to continue going lower, right? I'm looking for longevity. When I'm 50, I want my biological age to be 30. That's what I'm doing. Right now, my body is 3 years younger than my actual age is. So my goal is just to continue doing that and starting now. So know your numbers.
Absolutely. I'm just, I always say, and we have had several calls here about health is the real wealth. right? Our bodies is the only project that we will only work forever. That's the biggest project that we have, and that's the only thing that God needs helps with, right? Our bodies. Everything else, He's got it. As long as we surrender and we do the right thing, right? But taking care of our bodies is absolutely super, super important to just show up in business and personal life and community everywhere differently. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys? Any other comments? And I don't do we have anybody new here today? We'd love to hear from you.
Me.
I know. Yes, I know. I was like, I saw you and I was looking for you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Yes, of course. Hi everyone. My name is Nyracia Finnan. I just got married, so my last name is changing here pretty soon. A little bit about me. I'm in the Houston area. I just recently separated from the Air Force about a year ago. I am a real estate agent. I also work for a distributor, Ferguson, and I am looking to get into real estate investing. And I happen to stumble across you guys, and I really love the idea of women coming together, especially in real estate. It's a male-dominated field, and I'm just happy to be here. It's nice to meet you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was really nice. I connected with Narisha earlier, and yeah, it was really nice connecting with you. And stay connected. We have a WhatsApp group, Facebook group, so everybody stay connected. We have a very powerful community of women doing the thing. So Tiffany's in the group. If you guys have questions, feel free to connect with her. I put the link to book a call with her and just learn from her. And thank you so much, Tiffany, for your time. I learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure everybody got a lot of value. We will be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Lovely to meet you.